Good afternoon, Pankhurst class. This is your Friday maths lesson. Thank you so much to all of you who joined in on the live this morning. It was fantastic to see how many of you understood yesterday's maths lessons when we looked at working out patterns and using multiplication to help us with that. So that was really fantastic. And it was also lovely to hear that so many of you are now understanding the part-whole model. There's a couple of you that are still finding it a bit tricky, so just let me know. And then I can send over some extra ideas for you to practice at home as well. So today's maths lesson, we're having a look at using our knowledge of multiplication and division to complete problem solving and reasoning questions. So we're going to work through some word problems together, and I'm going to show you how to work through them. And they're all about multiplication and division today. So that's the focus for today's lesson. So remember, when we multiply, our answer gets larger. And when we divide, our answer gets smaller. And when we're dividing, it's like sharing. So we're sharing things between groups. And when we're multiplying, putting groups together. I'm going to show you some examples now to work through it. Can you please go and get for me a piece of scrap paper and pencil, or your whiteboard from the pack with a whiteboard pen? I'm going to go through some examples together. Okay, so my first question, it says, Henry went to the bookshop and bought 8 books. Each book cost £9 each. How much did Henry spend on books altogether? Now, some of you might see that and think, well, I can do this already. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to still watch this video to make sure you're looking carefully as to how we're working it out, because then in your independent activity, some of the questions might be a similar question, but with harder numbers. And if you don't watch this, you won't know how to work it out. So just watch this really carefully. And if you find this question, you're not sure where to even start, I will show you where to start. Now, first thing I'm going to do, if you've got a different coloured pen, if you're using scrap paper, or you can just have a look at this. I'm going to highlight the important parts of the question. Henry went to the bookshop. Now, none of that's important. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter which shop he goes to, but he's gone to the bookshop and he bought 8 books. Now, the number 8 is an important part of my question. Each book costs £9 each. That's an important part of my question. How much did Henry spend on books altogether? Now, when it says altogether, that means you're going to put things all together. Now, if you imagine that you have 3 pens here and 4 pens here, and you're putting them all together, you either are going to, that one would be adding, or if you need to put groups of things together with another lot of groups together, like in yesterday's lesson, you'd be multiplying. So when it says all together, your answer is always going to get larger. That's a little clue to look for, so you know if it's going to be adding, multiplying, dividing, or subtraction. So looking at how many did he spend altogether, how would we answer this question? Now, I've got a new little tool here today. I've got a tablet, and it's going to let me draw on here. So I'm hoping it's going to let me draw on the screen. We'll see if this works. I'm just going to change it to a normal pen. Let's see if this works. So he went to the bookshop and he bought 8 books. So I know that he has got 8 books. And each book costs £9. So that is my important section. That was terrible, Lewis. Terrible writing. We'll try that again. I think this is something I'm going to need to practice with. So we've got our pound and £9. That was better. Okay. Now each book costs £9. That means one book costs £9. We've got 8 books. So we need to think what symbol we're going to use. It's going to be a multiply, because like I said, it says all together. And if I add 8 and 9, that's not going to tell me how much it's going to be for 8 books. So what I need to do, my question is going to be today, 8 times by 9. And that's going to be the question, because when you're doing if you imagine each book is £9, it's going to be £9, £9, and £9, and £9, and £9, £9, £9, and £9, 8 times. So that's 8 times 9. Now this is quite tricky, because you may not know your 8 times tables, and you may not know your 9 times tables, but that's okay. We can work it out together by counting. So I'm going to write here I'm going to choose my 8 times table. So I know that 1 times 8 is 8. I know that 2 times 8 is 16. Then you might find it a bit tricky. So I need to know what 3 times 8 is. So I'm going to put 16 in my head, and I'm going to count on 8. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I know the next one's going to be 24. Now I need to do this 9 times to find out what 8 times 9 is. So I'd like you to pause the video here, and I'd like you to write down on your whiteboard all the numbers until you get to 8 times 9. And if you need to count in your head or you need to use your fingers, that's absolutely fine. So I'd like you to pause the video now to work it out. Okay, hopefully you've done your 8 times 9 now and you should have your answer. So we'll go through it. So it's 8, 16, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Then I know my number bonds, so I know that 32 add 8 is going to be 40. Then I know that 40 add 8 is 48. 48 in my head. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Let's see how many we've done so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 2 more to do because we've got to do it 9 times. So 56 in my head, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. And the last one, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. So I know my answer is 72. So I'm going to hopefully write my answer as 72. Now, if I look, just double check my question here. How much did Henry spend on books altogether? 72 doesn't answer my question because it says how much. Can you pause the video, please, and write me the answer to tell me how much did he spend? Good. If you said 72 pounds, you were correct. So remember, we've got to say how much it is. It's how much he's spent. 72 isn't telling us how much. We have our pound sign, and that helps us. Fantastic. Let's have a look at our next question. 34 girls and 24 boys go on a school trip. The children are split into 2 equal groups. How many children are in each group? So again, I'm going to highlight the important parts. 34 girls. 24 boys go on a school trip. The children are split into 2 equal groups. Split into groups. I like to pause the video and I like to have a think. Which number sentence, which symbol am I going to use in my number sentence? If I'm splitting things into groups, I'm sharing things into group. Pause the video now. Okay, hopefully you said divide, because we're dividing if we're sharing it into each group. Now, we've got to work out what our division question is going to be. I'd like you to pause the video again now, and I'd like you to write down what you think it could be. This is tricky because I've got 2 numbers here and 2 equal groups. I'd like to see if you can try and work it out. Okay. It's quite difficult because it's 2 steps in this section. We need to see how many children we have got all together. So you can add them up together and split it into equal groups, or you can share the girls and then share the boys. Either way is fine. I'm going to do it with the girls and then the boys because it says they're going to be into equal groups. So that means I want the same number of girls and the same number of boys in each one. So I'm going to do the girls first. So I've got 2 equal groups. So I'm going to draw some circles, not like that because that was atrocious. I'm going to draw some circles. I'm going to get a circle on here. It's very hard to draw, you see, when you're doing it from home. So I've got 1 circle there. I'm going to move it down here. And I've got another circle there. And I'm going to share the girls first. So that means my number sentence is going to be 34 divided by 2, because that's how many I am sharing. I'm sharing 34 girls into 2 equal groups. Then I'm going to draw my dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, sorry, 34, silly me. 33, 34, sorry, that was my mistake. Let's count how many there's in one circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 17 in one circle. So my answer to that one is 17. That doesn't tell me the answer because that's only how many girls. Let's try the boys. I'm going to do the boys in different colour. And the question for the boys is, let's try it on here. It's 24 divided by 2. Again, we're sharing it into 2 groups. So I'm now going to do it in red. 1. Oh, it's going to make it too hard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Going to count how many reds I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my answer is 12. Now, if you've done this on your whiteboard, what you can do is you could have rubbed out your black if you've written your answer. I've just done it mine in different colours, but you don't have to do that, so don't worry about that. Then I need to work out how many there are in each group. So I've got 17 girls in each group and 12 boys in each group. How many children are in each group? So I'm now going to write my answer by adding my 2 numbers together. So I'm going to do 17 add 12. 7 add 2 is 9. 1 and 1 is 2. So then when I go back up here, how many children are in each group? The answer is 29. Now there's different ways to do that. If you wanted to have added them together at the start, that's 34 add 24 and split it between 2 groups, that would have worked fine. 34 add 24 is 58, so you could have just shared 58 between 2 groups. If you know your 2 times tables, you may have even just done it that way. So you might have just halved 34 or halved 24 or halved 58 to work out your answers. Whatever works best for you. This is trying to find the best method to help you. If you need to draw your dots and circles, it's absolutely fine as well. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. I have 17 stamps in one book and 12 stamps in another. Each letter needs 2 stamps. How many letters can I post? Let's highlight the important parts of my question. I have 17 stamps in one book and 12 stamps in another. Each letter needs 2 stamps. And it says, how many letters can I post? So the first thing I need to do is I need to work out, so if one letter needs 2 stamps. So I'm going to write that down here. One letter needs 2 stamps. I need to work out how many stamps I've got because it tells me I've got 17 in one book and 12 in another. So the first thing I need to do is I need to put that together to work out how many I've got. Can you write on your whiteboard or your scrap piece of paper, if you pause the video now, can you please write down what number sentence I'm going to do to work out how many stamps I've got all together, and then try and work out your answer. Pause the video now to try that. Okay, hopefully you've written your answer for how many stamps I've got all together. I'm going to try it down here and see if we've got the same answer. So my question to work it out is going to be 17 add 12 to find out how many stamps I've got all together. So I'm going to do that over here. 17 add 12. 7 add 2 is 9. 1 and 1 is 2. So how many stamps have I got altogether? I've got 29 stamps. Now that's not telling me the answer yet. Each letter needs 2 stamps. How many letters can I post? So I've got 29 stamps altogether. Each letter needs 2 stamps. So what I need to do is I need to share this to find out how many I'm doing. So I need to divide this by 2. So if I'm dividing by 2, can you please pause the video and draw on your scrap piece of paper or your whiteboard how many circles I'm going to need if I'm dividing by 2? Good. Hopefully you said 2, in which case we need to draw our 2 circles. So I'm going to have one circle here. I'm just going to make it a little bit further down. And one circle here. So I've got 2 circles. And now I need to share my stamps between 2. And that's because one letter needs 2 stamps. So I've got to put 2 stamps on each one. So I'm going to divide it by 2. So let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to now share our number 29, which is how many stamps we've got, into our 2 circles. Now, if you know your 2 times table, or you know the rules of 2 times table, you're going to know that 2 isn't going to equally go into 29. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to draw my dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and there isn't one to go over here. So this one is an odd one out. That means that's one stamp left over, but each letter needs 2 stamps. So that one isn't going to be used. So now I've got to see how many letters we can send. So it's how many letters are in, how many dots are in one circle is going to tell me how many letters I can send. So we're going to count how many dots we've got. So can you do that for me? If you pause the video now, can you do that for me? Okay, if you got 14, fantastic. So I've got 15 in this circle, that's including this extra one here, and 14 here. So my answer is 14, because I can't send half a letter. With this one stamp, I need 2 stamps. So my answer is going to be 14. So how many letters can I post? My answer is going to be 14 letters. And you're going to have 1 stamp left over. Okay, let's go. Let's have a look at this question. So these are all different questions using multiplication and division, because in your independent task, there's going to be a range of different problems. How would you find the missing number? 3 times something is 18. Now we've done this before when we've looked at the inverse. Pause the video. What does inverse mean? Okay, hopefully you've told an adult, or you've told your teddy, or you've thought about what an inverse meant when I said that. We're going to use inverse to help us. That means we swap it to the opposite. So instead of having multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is divide. So we can divide to help us. So I'm going to turn this into a divide question. Now, when we divide, we know we put the large number first. So I'm going to have 18 there. That's my large number. Then I'm going to turn it into a divide question, and the only other number I've got is 3. Now I'm going to work out this answer, and that's going to be my missing number. So I've done the inverse by swapping this to the opposite and putting my large number first. So I'm going to share this. Talk to an adult, talk to your teddy, have a think. How many sharing circles do I need to draw? Good. If you said 3, that's fantastic, because that's how many I'm sharing. So I'm going to try and draw 1, 2, 3. And on your whiteboard or on your scrap paper, can you please share 18 into 3 circles, and you can do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've shared 18 into my 3 circles. Then you see how many is in each circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. If you knew your 3 times table or your 6 times table, you would have known that already. Okay, that means my missing number is 6. We can check that now by counting in our 3s till we get to 6 fingers. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Perfect. So that's our answer. So we can check it in different ways. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This one's quite difficult. Column multiplication. Now, when we're multiplying and we do column multiplication, we times the top number by the bottom. So if my number sentence, if my multiplication was 30 times by 2, we would do 0 times 2, which is 0, 3 times 2, which is 6. That's how we would do it. Same way we're doing over here. 6 times something is something ending in 4. Remember, we can always put a sneaky number under here. And 1 times something is 6. Or we're adding something on from there. Let's have a look. 6 times something is something ending in 4. Now I'm going to count in my 6s until I can get to a number that ends in 4. I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to count in your 6s. If you don't know your 6s, remember that when we did this earlier on, you can just write your number. This is my 8 times table. You can just use your fingers or count in your head, 6 times table, until you get to a number that ends in 4. So pause the video now and try that for me. Okay, hopefully you've got a number that ends in 4. Let's try it together. 6. I know that 6 and then another 6 is 12. That doesn't end in 4. I'm going to add another 6, and I know my 6 times table, so I know that it's 18. That doesn't end in 4 either. So I'm going to try another 6, and it's 24. Aha, now that does end in 4, so I'm going to try this. 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 times 4, let's try this. 6 times 4 is 24. That means that my 2 would carry under here. The 4 will go there. That makes sense. Let's try the next bit. 1 times 4 is 4. Add the 2 is 6. So that does work. If it didn't work, I could carry on counting in my 6s until I got to a different number that ended in 4. And try that out. So that would be my answer there. It would be 4. That didn't make sense. I want you just to rewind that section, just to watch that again, because that's a little bit of a trickier question. Okay, these are your activities for today. Now, some of these are quite tricky, but I really want you to try your best at the one that suits you best. So if you think that actually, I think I'm understanding most of these, I'd like you to try a harder activity. So there's 3 different activities. This one, you've got some word problems, and you've got some clues to help you, for example, when you're sharing things out. I'm going to read you some of the questions. I'm not going to read them all to you. There are 20 children in the hall. Divide them into teams of 2. So you would divide 20 into the 2 groups. Sophie has 27 flowers to plant. If she puts 3 flowers in each pot, how many pots will she need? So you have 27 flowers, and you have 3, and then 3, and then 3, and then 3, and it's saying how many pots will she need. I'm not going to read the rest. I want you to try and work through those, but pause the video if you're going to work through activity 1. Let's have a look at the next ones. Activity 2. What is the relationship between these calculations? So looking carefully, we used a word this morning in our live session about this when we swapped the numbers over. Use that to help you here. What do you notice about the following calculations? So these are linked. So 3 times 4 and 4 times 3 is linked. 4 times 8 and 8 times 4 is linked. 3 times 4 and 3 times 8. What's linked about those? What's linked about these two, and what's linked about these two? Then it's got some questions here. For example, Roger is laying tiles. He has 84 tiles altogether. How many complete rows of tiles can he make? Use the image to help you. And then you've got some other questions here with the missing spaces and another word problem. Remember to focus on the important parts of the question and use inverse if you need to for question 5, swapping it over. And the opposite of multiplication is divide, so you can use that to help you. And activity 3, again, you've got to work out the relationship between these number sentences, and it goes across. So a relationship between 2 times 3 and 4 times 3, or what do you notice about them? 2 times 30 and 4 times 30, etc. Then you've got a word problem, you've got to make one up yourself. And the same with this question. Then you've got one similar to the tile question earlier on, but this time it's patio slabs, and you can use the picture. You've got another word problem here. Kelsey has 55 chickens. She sold 3 and kept the rest in 4 equal groups. How many chickens were in each group? So it's grouping. So think what this symbol you're going to use. And then the missing digits here, again, that they're quite hard. That was like the last question I just went through with you. Just try it carefully and we'll write down your times table if you need to. Okay, try your best to choose the hardest one that you think you can do, just to challenge yourself. Good luck. There are some trickier questions there. If you have any maths questions, I'm happy to go through them with you next week, or Mrs. Mercer will go through them with you when you have a conversation with her next week as well. Good luck. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.